Chapter 1. Why 1 hour a day can change your life. Most people believe that change requires massive effort, endless time, and dramatic sacrifice. They believe that only those with free schedules, special talent, or perfect circumstances can truly transform their lives. This belief quietly keeps millions of people stuck, not because they lack ability, but because they misunderstand how change really works. The truth is simpler than most people expect. You do not need an entire day. You do not need to wake up at 4 in the morning. You do not need to quit your job or disappear from your responsibilities. What you need is 1 honest hour a day, 1 focused hour, 1 intentional hour, 1 hour where you stop reacting to life and start shaping it. This book is not about doing more. It is about doing less, but doing it with purpose. Every life you admire was built in small, quiet moments that no one applauded. Behind every successful career, strong mind, healthy body, or meaningful skill is a daily ritual that looked unimpressive from the outside. 1 hour of reading, 1 hour of practice, 1 hour of learning, 1 hour of building. Repeated consistently over time. We underestimate small actions because we overestimate dramatic ones. We wait for motivation. We wait for the right mood. We wait for a free day that never comes. Meanwhile, days pass, years pass, and potential quietly expires. 1 hour a day changes everything because it works with reality, not against it. You already live a busy life. You already feel tired. You already carry responsibilities. This book does not ask you to escape those realities. It asks you to reclaim a small part of your day from distraction, from noise, from unconscious living. 1 hour is realistic. 1 hour is achievable. 1 hour does not scare your mind. And because it does not scare you, you actually show up. When you commit to 1 hour a day, something important happens psychologically. You stop feeling overwhelmed. Your brain no longer resists. It no longer says this is too much. It says this is possible. And what feels possible becomes repeatable. Consistency is not built through intensity. It is built through trust. Trust that you can show up tomorrow. Trust that today's effort will not exhaust you. Trust that progress does not require suffering. This is why 1 hour works when everything else fails. Think about how most people approach change. They start strong. They plan unrealistic routines. They promise themselves 2 or 3 hours a day. They go all in for a week. Then, life interrupts. Fatigue sets in, motivation fades. Guilt follows. Eventually, they quit and conclude that they lack discipline. They were not undisciplined. They were overambitious. Discipline grows when effort feels sustainable. 1 hour respects your energy. It respects your human limits. It allows growth without burnout. 1 hour a day does not change your life overnight. It changes your direction. And direction, not speed, determines where you end up. If you walk in the wrong direction fast, you still arrive at the wrong place. If you walk in the right direction slowly, you eventually arrive exactly where you need to be. Most people are not failing because they are slow. They are failing because they are scattered. Their energy is divided. Their attention is fractured. Their days are consumed by urgent tasks that produce no long-term value. 1 hour a day creates a protected space for what truly matters. In that hour, you are not available to distractions. You are not scrolling. You are not reacting. You are building, learning, practicing, thinking, creating. This hour becomes a signal to yourself. A signal that your life is not only about survival. A signal that your future matters. Over time, this signal rewires your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who wants to change. You start seeing yourself as someone who shows up daily. That shift is powerful. Identity change always comes before life change. When you keep a promise to yourself every day, even a small one, self-respect grows. Confidence grows quietly. You trust yourself more. And when you trust yourself, you attempt bigger things. 1 hour a day is not about productivity alone. It is about dignity, about proving to yourself that you are not helpless in your own life. This hour can be used in many ways: learning a new skill, improving your health, studying, writing, building a side project, developing emotional strength, healing your mind, planning your future. The activity matters less than the consistency. What you do daily shapes who you become, not what you do occasionally, not what you plan to do someday. Most people overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in a year. 1 hour a day for 1 year equals 365 hours. That is the equivalent of weeks of focused effort. That is enough time to gain expertise, reshape habits, and create real momentum. Imagine where you would be today if you had started 1 hour a day 1 year ago. That thought is painful for many people. This book is not here to judge that pain. It is here to end it. The past cannot be edited, but the next hour is always available. You do not need to feel inspired to begin. You do not need to feel confident. You only need to be willing. Willingness is enough at the beginning. Motivation is unreliable. Discipline built on simplicity lasts. This book will not push you to hustle harder. It will teach you how to focus better, how to protect your attention, how to use 1 hour with clarity instead of chaos. You will learn why focus is rare and why it has become one of the most valuable skills in the modern world. You will understand why most people feel busy but remain stagnant. You will learn how to design your 1 hour so it produces results instead of frustration. Most importantly, you will learn how to keep going when enthusiasm fades. Because real change does not happen on excited days. It happens on ordinary days, on tired days, on days when no one is watching. 1 hour a day fits into ordinary days. That is its greatest strength. You are not required to be extraordinary today. You are only required to be consistent. This book is an invitation, not a demand. An invitation to stop waiting for perfect conditions. An invitation to stop believing that your life requires dramatic transformation to improve. Small, focused effort changes lives quietly. If you give 1 hour a day to something meaningful, your future will begin to pull you forward instead of dragging you behind. And once you feel that pull, you will never look at your time the same way again. They are busy. Too busy to start. Too busy to learn. Too busy to change. Too busy to focus on anything beyond what is immediately demanding their attention. Being busy has become a badge of honor, a convenient explanation, and a socially accepted excuse. But busyness is not the same as progress. Most people are not busy building their future. They are busy maintaining their present. They are busy responding to messages, attending meetings, handling small problems, scrolling through information, and reacting to situations they did not choose. Their days are full, but their lives remain unchanged. This is the lie of being busy. It makes you feel productive without actually moving you forward. Progress is quiet. It often looks boring. It does not announce itself with urgency. It does not demand immediate attention. And because of this, it is constantly postponed. Your mind is wired to prioritize what feels urgent, not what is important. Emails feel urgent. Notifications feel urgent. Requests from others feel urgent. But learning, improving, and building something meaningful rarely scream for attention. They whisper. And in a noisy world, whispers are easy to ignore. This is why people feel exhausted yet unfulfilled. They spend their energy on tasks that keep life running, but do not help it grow. 1 hour a day breaks this cycle. It creates a boundary between movement and progress. It forces you to ask a simple but uncomfortable question. Is what I am doing right now creating the future I want? Or is it only protecting me from immediate discomfort? Being busy often feels safer than focusing. Focus requires clarity. It requires choosing one direction and temporarily ignoring others. And choice always carries the risk of regret. So instead of choosing, people stay busy. Busyness keeps all options open while committing to none. Progress requires commitment. When you dedicate 1 hour a day to a specific purpose, you are making a decision. You are saying this matters more than endless activity. This deserves protection. This deserves my best attention. At first, this will feel uncomfortable. Your mind will resist. It will tell you that you should be doing something else, something more urgent, something easier, something more familiar. That resistance is not a sign that you are doing something wrong. It is a sign that you are finally doing something important. Most people have never truly experienced focus. They have experienced short bursts of attention interrupted by constant distraction. They confuse mental fatigue with effort, when in reality, distraction is what exhausts the mind. Focus, when practiced regularly, actually creates energy. 1 hour of focused work often produces more progress than 10 hours of scattered effort. Not because you worked harder, but because you worked intentionally. This is the truth about progress. It is not about how long you work. It is about how deeply you engage. Think of your attention as a resource more valuable than time. Time passes whether you use it well or not. Attention determines what that time becomes. When your attention is constantly pulled in different directions, nothing receives enough depth to grow. Skills remain shallow. Ideas remain undeveloped. Goals remain theoretical. 1 hour of undivided attention gives something the depth it needs to take root. Many people believe they lack time when what they really lack is priority. They say they will start when life slows down. But life does not slow down. It only fills the space you give it. If you do not decide how your time is used, other people and systems will decide for you. 1 hour a day is an act of reclaiming ownership. It does not require perfection. It does not require a perfect environment. It requires intention. This hour is not about doing everything. It is about doing one thing well. The right thing. The thing that moves you forward even if no one notices today. Progress is often invisible in the beginning. This is where most people quit. They expect immediate results. They want external validation. They want proof that their effort is working. But the earliest changes happen internally. Your thinking becomes clearer. Your confidence becomes steadier. Your ability to concentrate improves. These changes are subtle but foundational. You are building capacity before you see results. Busy people chase visible activity. Focused people build invisible strength. Over time, invisible strength becomes visible success. 1 hour a day also reveals an uncomfortable truth. Many tasks we believe are necessary are not. When you commit to protecting 1 hour, you start questioning how the rest of your time is spent. You become more aware of distractions disguised as obligations. This awareness is powerful. It allows you to simplify, to eliminate, to say no without guilt. Progress requires subtraction before it requires addition. You do not need to add more hours to your day. You need to remove what is stealing depth from your attention. The goal is not to escape responsibility. The goal is to stop confusing movement with meaning. When you finish your 1 hour, you will still have a busy day. But now that day has direction. It has an anchor. It has something that is growing steadily beneath the surface. Over weeks and months, this anchor changes how you see yourself. You stop defining your days by how exhausted you feel. You start defining them by what you built. This shift is subtle but transformative. You begin to respect your own time. You begin to protect it. And when you protect your time, your future begins to take shape. The truth about progress is simple but uncomfortable. It requires saying no to many small distractions in order to say yes to one meaningful direction. 1 hour a day gives you the structure to make that choice without overwhelming yourself. You are not lazy. You are not incapable. You are simply busy in the wrong direction. Change the direction of 1 hour a day, and the rest of your life will eventually follow. Chapter 3. How successful people actually use their 1 hour. When people imagine successful individuals, they often picture extreme routines. Long hours, relentless schedules, endless workdays that leave no room for rest or balance. This image is not only misleading, it is damaging. It convinces ordinary people that success is reserved for those willing to sacrifice their health, relationships, and peace of mind. The reality is far more grounded. Successful people are not defined by how much time they work, but by how intentionally they use a small portion of their time. Behind every visible achievement is a private routine that looks simple and even boring from the outside. They protect 1 hour a day for what matters most. This hour is not filled with urgency. It is not reactive. It is deliberate. It is where progress is quietly made while the rest of the world is distracted. Highly effective people understand something most others do not. Not all hours are equal. An hour spent in deep focus is not the same as an hour spent multitasking. Quality of attention matters more than quantity of effort. This is why they design their 1 hour carefully. Some use it early in the morning before the world demands their attention. Others use it late at night when distractions fade. The timing is personal. What matters is consistency and protection. During this hour, they remove interruptions. Phones are silent. Notifications are turned off. There is no switching between tasks. There is no checking. There is only engagement. This is where real work happens. For a writer, this hour is spent writing without editing. For a student, it is focused study without scrolling. For a professional, it is skill development instead of email. For an entrepreneur, it is building instead of planning endlessly. They choose activities that compound over time. Successful people think in terms of leverage. They ask themselves which activity, if done daily, would create the greatest long-term impact. Then they commit to that activity even when results are not immediate. They understand that progress is not linear. It accumulates quietly before it becomes visible. Another important truth is this: successful people do not rely on motivation. They rely on structure. Their 1 hour is scheduled. It is treated like a non-negotiable appointment. They do not wait to feel inspired. They show up because it is part of who they are. This identity-based approach is critical. They see themselves as learners, builders, or creators. The 1 hour is simply an expression of that identity. When effort aligns with identity, consistency becomes easier. They also accept imperfection. That hour is not always productive. Some days are harder than others. Focus fluctuates. Energy varies. But they do not judge the quality of the session too harshly. They judge only whether they showed up. Showing up daily is the real win. Over time, this removes pressure. When pressure is removed, creativity and clarity increase. Progress becomes sustainable instead of exhausting. Successful people also understand the power of starting small. They do not try to do everything in one session. They focus on the next step. One page, one concept, one improvement. Small steps taken daily create momentum. Momentum changes behavior. When you see yourself moving forward, even slowly, you are more likely to continue. When progress feels real, discipline becomes natural. This is why 1 hour a day works across different fields. It adapts to the person. It respects individuality. It allows growth without burnout. Another common trait among successful people is reflection. They often use part of their 1 hour to think, to review, to plan intentionally, not in a chaotic way, but with clarity. Thinking deeply is rare in a distracted world, yet it is one of the highest leverage activities available. Clarity saves time. Direction reduces wasted effort. By consistently revisiting their goals and priorities, they avoid drifting. They stay aligned with what truly matters. Most people spend years reacting and only minutes reflecting. Successful people reverse that ratio. 1 hour a day also allows them to separate identity from outcome. They focus on the process, not the applause. This protects them from discouragement. When you work only for external validation, progress feels fragile. When you work to honor your process, progress feels grounded. This mindset shift is subtle but powerful. Successful people are not immune to doubt. They simply do not let doubt decide their daily actions. They show up even when confidence is low. Especially when confidence is low. The 1 hour becomes a stabilizing force, a daily reminder that growth is happening regardless of how they feel in the moment. Over months and years, this habit compounds. Skills sharpen. Judgment improves. Opportunities emerge. What once felt difficult becomes automatic. From the outside, it looks like talent. From the inside, it feels like consistency. You do not need special access to use 1 hour this way. You do not need permission. You only need intention and protection. When you stop trying to copy extreme routines and start building a simple, sustainable one, everything changes. Success is not built in dramatic moments. It is built in ordinary hours used well. 1 hour a day, used intentionally, is how successful people quietly separate themselves from the rest. Chapter 4. The Psychology of Small Daily Discipline. Most people believe discipline is a personality trait. They think some people are born disciplined while others are not. This belief becomes a quiet excuse. It allows people to explain inaction without confronting their habits. But discipline is not something you are born with. It is something your mind learns through experience. Discipline grows from repetition, not from willpower. Your brain is designed to conserve energy. It resists large changes and unfamiliar effort. When you set overwhelming goals, your mind interprets them as threats. It responds with avoidance, procrastination, and self-doubt. This is not laziness. It is biology. Small daily discipline works because it feels safe to the brain. 1 hour is large enough to create progress, but small enough to avoid triggering resistance. Your mind can accept it. It does not panic. It does not search for excuses as aggressively. This is the hidden psychology behind sustainable change. When you complete a small, manageable commitment repeatedly, your brain begins to associate effort with reward instead of stress. Each completed session reinforces a sense of capability. Over time, this builds confidence in your ability to follow through. Confidence is not built by thinking positively. It is built by keeping promises to yourself. Every time you honor your 1 hour, you send a message to your nervous system that effort is survivable, that you can engage without being overwhelmed. This message changes your relationship with work, learning, and self-improvement. You stop seeing effort as punishment. You start seeing it as self-respect. Small daily discipline also removes the emotional drama from progress. When goals are too large, every missed day feels like failure. Guilt accumulates. Shame grows. Eventually, people quit not because they cannot continue, but because they cannot tolerate the emotional weight. 1 hour a day reduces this emotional burden. If you miss a day, recovery is easier. If you feel tired, the task still feels manageable. This reduces all or nothing thinking, which is one of the biggest enemies of consistency. Progress becomes flexible instead of fragile. Another psychological advantage of small discipline is identity reinforcement. Each day you show up, you reinforce the identity of someone who is consistent. Identity shapes behavior more powerfully than motivation. You do not force yourself to act. You act because it feels aligned with who you are becoming. This is why habits stick when they are small and repeated. They fit into your self-image gradually instead of demanding sudden transformation. Your mind prefers continuity over intensity. 1 hour a day also trains patience. In a world obsessed with instant results, patience has become rare. Small discipline teaches you to work without immediate reward. This builds emotional resilience. Resilience is the ability to continue despite uncertainty. It is the foundation of long-term success. When you practice daily discipline without visible results, you are strengthening your ability to trust the process. This trust becomes invaluable when challenges arise. Many people quit too early, not because the strategy is wrong, but because their psychology is untrained. Small discipline trains the mind to stay. There is also a neurological component. Repeated behavior strengthens neural pathways. The more often you engage in focused effort, the easier it becomes to access that state. Focus becomes familiar instead of exhausting. Distraction weakens these pathways. Focus strengthens them. This is why daily engagement matters more than occasional intensity. Small discipline also helps regulate emotion. When you feel anxious, uncertain, or restless, having a daily anchor provides stability. Your 1 hour becomes a predictable structure in an unpredictable world. Structure calms the mind. You may not control external events, but you can control whether you show up for your 1 hour. This sense of control reduces stress and increases confidence. Over time, discipline stops feeling like effort and starts feeling like rhythm. This rhythm creates momentum. Momentum reduces friction, and reduced friction makes progress easier. The goal is not to become rigid or obsessed. The goal is to create a supportive system that works with your psychology, not against it. 1 hour a day is not about pushing harder. It is about aligning effort with how the human mind actually functions. When discipline is small, consistent, and compassionate, it becomes sustainable. And when discipline is sustainable, change becomes inevitable. Chapter 5. Why motivation fails and systems win. Most people wait for motivation before they begin. They tell themselves they will start when they feel ready, inspired, confident, or energized. This waiting feels reasonable, even responsible. But it is one of the most common reasons people never change their lives. Motivation is emotional. Emotions are unstable. They rise and fall based on sleep, stress, environment, relationships, and countless factors outside your control. Building your life on motivation is like building a house on shifting sand. Some days it feels solid, other days it disappears without warning. This is not a personal weakness. It is human nature. Motivation is useful for starting, but it is unreliable for continuing. It sparks action but cannot sustain it. This is why people feel excited at the beginning of a new goal and exhausted a few weeks later. The emotion that started the journey fades, and nothing replaces it. What replaces motivation for successful people is systems. A system is a simple structure that makes action easier than inaction. It does not depend on how you feel. It works even when energy is low and enthusiasm is absent. 1 hour a day becomes powerful when it is part of a system, not a mood. Think about brushing your teeth. You do not wait for motivation. You do not negotiate with yourself. You do it because it is built into your day. It requires little emotional effort. That is the power of a system. The same principle applies to growth. When your 1 hour is scheduled, protected, and repeated, it stops being a decision. It becomes a routine. And routines remove resistance. Every decision costs mental energy. When you decide daily whether or not to work on something, you create friction. Friction leads to delay. Delay leads to abandonment. Systems remove the decision. Successful people understand this deeply. They do not ask themselves if they feel like working. They ask themselves when the work will happen. Once the time arrives, they begin. This does not mean they enjoy every session. It means they respect the process more than their temporary feelings. Motivation often fails because it is tied to outcome. People feel motivated when they imagine success. When results are slow, motivation fades. Systems focus on process, not outcome. When your goal is to complete 1 hour, not to achieve perfection, progress becomes manageable. You stop judging yourself based on results and start measuring success by consistency. This reduces pressure and increases sustainability. Another reason motivation fails is because it demands intensity. Motivated effort is often extreme. People push hard, ignore limits, and exhaust themselves. This creates burnout. Systems are moderate. They respect energy. They are designed to be repeatable, not impressive. 1 hour a day is a system because it balances challenge and recovery. It pushes you forward without draining you completely. A good system also anticipates resistance. There will be days when you feel tired, days when your mind feels heavy, days when distractions feel stronger than usual. A system does not pretend these days will not happen. It plans for them. On difficult days, your system still allows progress. Even if the hour feels slower or less productive, showing up maintains the habit. Momentum is preserved. Momentum is fragile when built on motivation. It is resilient when built on systems. Another advantage of systems is identity alignment. When you follow a system consistently, you begin to see yourself differently. You are no longer someone who tries to improve. You are someone who practices daily. This identity shift is subtle but powerful. Behavior shapes identity more reliably than thoughts. Motivation tries to change behavior through emotion. Systems change behavior through structure. Structure is stronger. Systems also create freedom. This may sound counterintuitive. Many people believe structure is restrictive. In reality, lack of structure is what creates chaos and stress. When everything is decided in the moment, your mind is constantly negotiating. A system frees mental space. It reduces cognitive load. You no longer wonder when you will work. You already know. This mental clarity improves focus during the hour itself. You spend less energy preparing and more energy engaging. Another reason systems win is because they compound. Small actions repeated daily create exponential results over time. Systems harness this compounding effect. Motivation often leads to inconsistency, which breaks the chain. Consistency is what allows learning to deepen and skills to sharpen. When you practice daily, even briefly, your brain retains information better. Connections strengthen. improvement accelerates. Systems also protect you from perfectionism. When motivation drives action, people often expect exceptional performance. When that expectation is not met, disappointment follows. Systems normalize imperfection. The goal is not brilliance. The goal is participation. Participation is enough. Over time, participation leads to mastery. A system centered on 1 hour a day also builds trust with yourself. Trust grows when actions align with intentions. Each completed session reinforces your belief in your ability to follow through. Self-trust is more valuable than motivation. When you trust yourself, you attempt bigger goals. You take calculated risks. You move forward with confidence. Motivation cannot create this trust alone. Only consistent action can. There will be days when motivation surprises you. On those days, your 1 hour may turn into more. That is fine, but the system does not depend on it. The system remains steady, regardless of emotional fluctuations. This stability is what creates long-term change. The truth is simple, but uncomfortable. If you rely on motivation, you will work only when conditions are perfect. Perfect conditions are rare. If you rely on systems, you will work even when conditions are ordinary. Ordinary days are abundant. 1 hour a day becomes transformative when it is treated as a system, not a burst of inspiration. You do not need to feel ready. You need to be consistent. Systems turn intention into reality. And when systems are simple, humane, and repeatable, they win every time. Chapter 6. 1 hour for learning. 1 hour for building. Most people confuse learning with progress. They consume information endlessly and feel productive, yet nothing in their life actually changes. Others take action without understanding and struggle unnecessarily. Real growth happens when learning and building are connected. 1 hour a day creates the perfect balance between these two forces. Learning expands your understanding. Building turns understanding into reality. When they work together, progress becomes efficient and meaningful. Learning without building creates illusion. You feel smarter but remain unchanged. Building without learning creates frustration. You work hard but repeat the same mistakes. The 1 hour a day approach teaches you how to combine both. This does not mean you need 2 separate hours. It means you need clarity about intention. Some days your hour will be for learning, reading, studying, listening, thinking, absorbing ideas that stretch your perspective. Other days, your hour will be for building, writing, practicing, creating, applying what you already know. The key is balance over time. Successful people are intentional about this balance. They do not consume endlessly, nor do they act blindly. They alternate between input and output. Learning prepares the mind. Building strengthens the skill. 1 hour of focused learning is different from casual consumption. It is active, not passive. You are not scrolling. You are engaging. Asking questions. Making connections. Reflecting. This kind of learning changes how you think. When learning is intentional, it sharpens judgment. It helps you choose better strategies. It prevents wasted effort. But learning alone is not enough. Building is where confidence is formed. Confidence does not come from knowing. It comes from doing. Each time you build something, even imperfectly, you reduce fear. You replace uncertainty with experience. 1 hour of building creates visible evidence of progress. This evidence matters psychologically. It proves to your mind that effort leads somewhere. It transforms abstract goals into concrete steps. Many people avoid building because it exposes imperfection. Learning feels safer. There is no risk, no failure, no judgment. But safety comes at the cost of growth. Building requires courage. 1 hour a day lowers that barrier. It makes courage manageable. You are not committing to excellence. You are committing to participation. Over time, participation leads to competence. Another important truth is this: learning changes what you think is possible. Building changes what you believe you can do. Belief shapes behavior more than knowledge. When you build daily, your self-image evolves. You stop seeing yourself as someone preparing to start. You start seeing yourself as someone already in motion. This shift is subtle but powerful. 1 hour a day also prevents overwhelm. When learning and building are broken into small daily sessions, complexity becomes manageable. You are not trying to master everything at once. You are advancing step by step. Step-by-step progress feels slow, but it is stable. Stability creates endurance. Endurance is what allows long-term goals to become reality. Another benefit of the 1 hour structure is reflection. When learning and building happen regularly, reflection becomes natural. You notice patterns. You see what works. You adjust. Reflection improves efficiency. Without reflection, people repeat mistakes. With reflection, mistakes become lessons. Your 1 hour is not just about action. It is about awareness. You become more aware of how you learn best, how you focus best, what drains you, and what energizes you. This self-knowledge is invaluable. Learning also protects you from blind effort. It helps you avoid paths that look productive but lead nowhere. It gives context to your work. Building protects you from paralysis. It keeps you moving even when clarity is incomplete. Together, they create momentum without confusion. Many people wait to feel fully prepared before building. That moment never arrives. Preparation without application has no end point. 1 hour a day breaks this cycle. You learn a little. You apply a little. You adjust. You repeat. This loop is how mastery is developed. Mastery is not the result of talent. It is the result of deliberate practice over time. Deliberate practice requires focus, feedback, and repetition. 1 hour a day provides all three. Focus comes from protecting the hour. Feedback comes from building and observing results. Repetition comes from consistency. This is a powerful combination. You do not need to choose between learning and building permanently. You only need to choose what your next hour will serve. Some seasons of life require more learning. Others require more building. The flexibility of 1 hour a day allows you to adapt without losing momentum. Adaptability is a hidden advantage. Rigid routines break when life changes. Flexible systems survive. 1 hour a day is flexible enough to adjust and strong enough to sustain progress. It also creates humility. Learning reminds you how much there is to understand. Building reminds you how much you are capable of improving. This balance keeps ego in check and effort grounded. Over time, learning becomes deeper. Building becomes smoother. Confidence becomes quieter and more stable. You stop chasing shortcuts. You stop comparing yourself constantly. You focus on your own process. That focus is rare and valuable. 1 hour a day is not about doing everything. It is about doing the right thing at the right time with full attention. When learning and building are aligned, progress feels meaningful instead of chaotic. You are no longer busy. You are moving forward. And when you move forward consistently, even slowly, your life begins to change in ways that feel natural and earned. Chapter 7. Focus is the new intelligence. We live in a time where information is everywhere, but attention is rare. Knowledge is no longer the advantage it once was. Anyone can access books, courses, tutorials, and opinions within seconds. What separates people now is not what they know, but what they can focus on. Focus has become the new intelligence. Intelligence is often misunderstood as raw mental ability. In reality, intelligence is the ability to direct attention toward what matters and sustain it long enough to produce understanding and results. Without focus, even the most capable mind becomes scattered. Distraction is not a minor inconvenience. It is a silent force shaping behavior, decisions, and identity. Every time your attention is interrupted, your mind pays a cost. It takes time and energy to return to depth. Frequent interruptions prevent deep thinking. They keep your mind on the surface, jumping from one stimulus to another. This is why many people feel mentally exhausted without having done meaningful work. Their energy is spent switching, not building. 1 hour a day of protected focus is a powerful response to this reality. During this hour, you are not multitasking. You are not half present. You are fully engaged with one thing. This level of engagement trains your mind to go deeper than it is used to. Depth is where insight lives. When you focus deeply, patterns emerge. Connections form. Understanding sharpens. Problems that once felt complex begin to simplify. This is not because the problem changed. It is because your attention stabilized. Focus is a skill. Like any skill, it improves with practice. Most people assume they are bad at focusing. In truth, they are simply untrained. Years of constant stimulation have weakened their ability to sustain attention. This does not mean the ability is lost. It means it needs rebuilding. 1 hour a day is enough to rebuild it. At first, focus will feel uncomfortable. Your mind will wander. You will feel the urge to check your phone or switch tasks. This is normal. It is a sign of withdrawal from constant stimulation. Do not judge this resistance. Observe it. Each time you bring your attention back, you strengthen the muscle of focus. Just like physical training, progress is gradual. The first sessions may feel clumsy. Over time, focus becomes steadier. This steadiness changes how you think. Focused thinking allows you to see beyond immediate reactions. It creates space between impulse and action. In that space, better decisions are made. This is why focus is closely linked to emotional control. When attention is scattered, emotions control behavior. When attention is focused, behavior becomes intentional. 1 hour a day of focus improves not only productivity, but clarity, patience, and self-control. It also improves learning. When attention is fragmented, information does not integrate properly. You may read or listen, but little is retained. Focus allows information to move from short-term awareness into deeper understanding. Understanding changes how you apply knowledge. This is why some people learn quickly while others struggle despite consuming the same material. The difference is not intelligence. It is attention. Focus also creates confidence. When you complete focused work, you experience a sense of completion. Not the shallow satisfaction of checking something off a list, but the deeper satisfaction of having engaged fully. This satisfaction reinforces the habit. Your brain learns that focus is rewarding. Over time, this reward becomes internal. You stop needing constant external stimulation. You become comfortable with silence, concentration, and sustained effort. This comfort is rare in the modern world. It gives you an advantage. People who can focus deeply are harder to replace. They solve problems others avoid. They create value instead of noise. 1 hour a day also teaches you what deserves your attention. When attention is limited, choice becomes important. You start asking better questions. What truly matters? What is worth my energy? What aligns with my long-term direction? This discernment is a form of intelligence. Without focus, everything feels equally important. With focus, priorities become clear. Clarity reduces anxiety. Many people feel anxious because their attention is pulled in too many directions. They are trying to hold too much at once. Focus simplifies the mental landscape. It reduces cognitive overload. Your 1 hour becomes a mental reset. During this time, the world narrows. Complexity reduces. You deal with one thing at a time. This simplicity is calming. Calm improves performance. Another benefit of focus is quality. When attention is deep, the quality of your work improves, even if the time spent is the same. This is why one focused hour can outperform several distracted hours. Quality compounds faster than quantity. Over time, focused effort leads to mastery. Mastery is not about knowing everything. It is about understanding deeply enough to apply skillfully. This depth creates confidence that is quiet and stable, not loud or performative. People often chase productivity tools and techniques. They reorganize schedules, try new systems, and search for shortcuts. These tools can help, but they cannot replace focus. Focus is the foundation. Without it, systems collapse. With it, even simple routines work. 1 hour a day of focus is not a luxury. It is a necessity in a distracted world. It protects your mind from fragmentation. It preserves your ability to think clearly. It allows you to engage with life instead of skimming over it. This hour does not need to be perfect. It needs to be intentional. Some days focus will come easily. Other days it will feel like effort. Both are acceptable. What matters is returning to the practice. Each day you focus, you reclaim a small part of your attention from distraction. Over time, these small reclaimed moments add up. They reshape how you experience your days. You become less reactive, more present, more deliberate. In a world that profits from distraction, choosing focus is an act of self-respect. 1 hour a day is enough to practice that choice. And as focus strengthens, intelligence expresses itself more fully. You do not become smarter by consuming more. You become smarter by paying attention. Chapter 8. What happens after 30 days of 1 hour? 30 days is not a lifetime. It is not even a season. Yet 30 days of 1 hour a day begins to change something fundamental inside you. Not dramatically, not loudly, but deeply. In the first few days, the change is mostly psychological. You are adjusting. You are negotiating with your habits. You are testing whether this commitment is real or temporary. Your mind still searches for excuses. It still asks if this really matters. By the end of the first week, resistance softens. The hour no longer feels foreign. It begins to feel familiar, not easy, but known. Familiarity reduces fear. Fear is what stops most people from continuing. Fear of failure, fear of wasted effort, fear of discovering limits. When something becomes familiar, fear loses its intensity. By the second week, you start noticing small shifts. Your focus improves slightly. You settle into work faster. You waste less time preparing and more time engaging. These changes are subtle, but they matter. You also begin to notice something else. Your awareness increases. You become more conscious of how you spend the rest of your day. Distractions stand out more clearly. Time feels more valuable. This awareness is a sign of growth. When you invest 1 hour intentionally, the contrast between focused and unfocused time becomes obvious. You start asking questions you did not ask before. Where did my time go? What am I reacting to? What am I avoiding? These questions are uncomfortable, but they are honest. By the third week, identity begins to shift. You no longer see the 1 hour as an experiment. You see it as part of your routine. Something you do, not something you are trying. This is an important turning point. When behavior becomes part of identity, consistency strengthens. You are no longer relying on effort alone. You are aligning with who you believe you are. You start thinking of yourself as someone who shows up. This self-perception matters more than external results. Around this time, emotional changes become noticeable. Confidence feels steadier, not inflated, not dramatic, but grounded. You trust yourself a little more. You take your own intentions more seriously. This trust reduces internal conflict. Many people are exhausted not by work, but by the constant inner debate about what they should be doing. When you commit to 1 hour daily, that debate quiets down. You already know what matters. Clarity is calming. By the 4th week, momentum appears. Momentum is not excitement. It is a sense of forward movement. A quiet belief that effort is accumulating. You may not see dramatic external change yet. That is normal. 30 days is too short for visible transformation. But internally, foundations are forming. Foundations are invisible, but they support everything that follows. Your brain is adapting. Neural pathways related to focus and discipline are strengthening. Returning to your task becomes easier. Starting requires less effort. This is not motivation. This is conditioning. Your environment also begins to adjust. You naturally arrange your day to protect the hour. You say no more easily. You become selective. This selectivity is a sign of maturity. You also begin to experience a shift in how you experience time. Days feel more intentional. Even busy days feel less chaotic because they contain one meaningful anchor. That anchor grounds you. Emotionally, you may feel moments of frustration. Progress feels slow. Results feel distant. This is where many people quit. Not because the system fails, but because expectations are unrealistic. 30 days is not for results. It is for alignment. Alignment means your actions are matching your values. When alignment exists, results eventually follow. If you push for results too early, you risk abandoning a process that is just beginning to work. Another important change after 30 days is increased tolerance for effort. What once felt demanding now feels manageable. Your capacity has expanded slightly. Capacity expands through exposure. This expanded capacity allows you to think more clearly under pressure. You become less reactive. You pause before acting. This pause improves decision-making. Improved decisions compound over time. You may also notice that your relationship with failure changes. Small mistakes during your hour no longer feel catastrophic. You see them as part of the process. This emotional resilience is valuable. When failure loses its emotional charge, learning accelerates. You experiment more. You take calculated risks. You grow faster. By 30 days, you are no longer proving anything to anyone else. You are proving something to yourself. That you can commit. That you can be patient. That you can work without immediate reward. This self-proof is powerful. It changes how you approach other areas of life. You begin to apply the same patience and consistency to health, relationships, and work. Consistency spills over. You also develop a healthier relationship with rest. Because your effort is intentional, rest feels earned. Guilt decreases. Recovery improves. This balance prevents burnout. 1 hour a day creates rhythm. Rhythm creates stability. Stability creates confidence. None of this is dramatic. There are no sudden breakthroughs. There is no overnight transformation. That is not how meaningful change works. Meaningful change feels quiet at first. After 30 days, you may still doubt whether this will truly change your life. That doubt is natural. Doubt does not mean failure. It means you are thinking. The important thing is not to stop. 30 days is the introduction. It is the handshake. The real relationship begins after. If you continue beyond 30 days, the changes deepen. Focus strengthens. Identity solidifies. Progress accelerates. But even if nothing visible has changed yet, something critical has already happened. You have interrupted the pattern of drifting. You have chosen direction. That choice, repeated daily, is enough to eventually change your life. Chapter 9. What happens after 1 year? 1 year sounds long when you are standing at the beginning. It sounds heavy. As demanding, uncertain. But when lived 1 hour at a time, a year becomes something very different. It becomes a quiet accumulation of effort that reshapes your life from the inside out. After 1 year of 1 hour a day, the change is no longer subtle. It is not dramatic in a loud way. It is deep, structural, and undeniable. By this point, the 1 hour is no longer something you think about often. It is woven into your life. You do not negotiate with it. You do not question its value daily. It exists the same way brushing your teeth exists. It is simply part of how you live. This automatic quality is important. When behavior becomes automatic, it stops draining willpower. You no longer rely on discipline. You rely on rhythm, and rhythm is sustainable. After a year, your ability to focus is noticeably stronger. You can sit with a task longer without discomfort. You recover from distractions faster. Your mind feels steadier. This steadiness affects everything. Conversations become more present. Decisions become more deliberate. Stress feels more manageable because your attention is no longer constantly scattered. You think more clearly under pressure. Your work quality improves. Not because you suddenly became more talented, but because you now give tasks the attention they deserve. You notice details you once missed. You solve problems instead of avoiding them. This is what focus does over time. Your relationship with time also changes after a year. You stop feeling like days are slipping away unnoticed. Even busy weeks feel meaningful because they contain progress. Progress gives time weight. Without progress, time feels empty. With progress, time feels invested. After 1 year, you can look back and point to concrete evidence: pages written, skills developed, knowledge gained, projects moved forward, habits changed. These results did not appear suddenly. They accumulated quietly. Quiet accumulation is powerful because it does not depend on excitement. It depends on presence. Another important change after a year is identity clarity. You no longer describe yourself as someone who wants to improve. You describe yourself as someone who practices daily. This identity is stable. It does not fluctuate with mood or circumstances. Identity shapes choices. Because you see yourself as consistent, you protect your time naturally. You are more selective with commitments. You feel less pressure to explain yourself. Saying no becomes easier. This is not arrogance. It is alignment. When your actions and values are aligned, confidence grows without effort. After 1 year, your emotional resilience is stronger. You handle setbacks differently. Failure no longer feels like a verdict on your ability. It feels like information. Information can be used. Judgment cannot. This shift alone changes how far you can go. Many people are limited not by intelligence or opportunity, but by emotional fragility. They avoid discomfort. They fear mistakes. 1 year of daily effort builds tolerance for discomfort. Discomfort becomes familiar. Familiar discomfort loses its power. Your patience also deepens. You stop expecting immediate results. You trust processes. You understand that meaningful outcomes require time. This patience affects relationships, career decisions, and personal growth. Impatience creates chaos. Patience creates stability. After 1 year, you also develop a stronger internal compass. You know what matters to you because you have invested time in it consistently. This clarity reduces confusion. You are less influenced by trends, opinions, and external noise. You evaluate ideas more critically. You choose based on alignment, not excitement. This discernment is rare and valuable. Your self-trust after 1 year is significantly stronger. You believe your own promises because you have kept them repeatedly. This belief changes how you approach challenges. When you trust yourself, you take responsibility. You stop waiting for permission. You act with intention. Self-trust is the foundation of independence. Another quiet change is how others perceive you. People notice consistency. They notice reliability. They notice depth. You may not announce your progress, but it becomes visible. Opportunities often emerge from this visibility. Not because you chase them, but because your behavior signaled readiness. After 1 year, your relationship with motivation is completely different. You no longer depend on it. Motivation becomes a bonus, not a requirement. You work even when motivation is low. You rest when rest is needed. You continue without drama. This emotional neutrality is powerful. You are no longer constantly fighting yourself. Your 1 hour a day has also influenced how you rest. Rest feels intentional instead of escapist. You enjoy it without guilt. You recover better. This balance protects you from burnout. Burnout happens when effort feels endless and meaningless. 1 hour a day keeps effort contained and meaningful. After a year, your life may not look completely transformed from the outside. But from the inside, everything feels different. You feel capable. Capability is not about confidence alone. It is about evidence. You have evidence that you can commit, focus, learn, and build over time. This evidence changes how you see your future. The future no longer feels abstract or intimidating. It feels approachable. You understand that whatever you want to build can be approached 1 hour at a time. This understanding removes fear. Fear often comes from imagining effort as overwhelming. 1 year of practice proves otherwise. You no longer ask, "Can I change my life?" You ask, "What should I work on next?" That is a powerful shift. 1 year of 1 hour a day does not make life perfect. It makes it intentional. It gives you agency. Agency is the feeling that your actions matter. Without agency, people drift. With agency, people build. You have not become extraordinary overnight. You have become consistent. And consistency is more powerful than intensity. Intensity fades. Consistency compounds. When you look back after 1 year, you may not remember every session. You may not remember specific days. But you will remember the feeling of momentum, of direction, of self-respect. That feeling stays. 1 hour a day gave you that. And once you experience what consistent effort can do over a year, you stop underestimating yourself forever.